Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Inka Sabrina, and welcome to the Cross Cultural Understanding podcast by me. Before we get down to the topic, I want to remind you all that this podcast is 100% or pure for learning, and I'm not trying to judge or giving a hate speech about the other country's culture, and I just purely giving my opinion about it. And also, I'm not the owner of the information or several information that I will get and use and definitely will share to you guys in this podcast. So, for the main topic of this podcast is K-pop as the intercultural communication. You know for sure that we will divide this podcast into three sections. The first is introduction. It's simply just I will tell you about the K-pop itself, and then the intercultural communication as well. And then the second is the main discussion, and then the last is the conclusion. So let's get started. And the first section in this podcast is introduction. As I mentioned before, that we will talk, or I will talk about the K-pop itself, and then um, a little bit information about intercultural communication that we have learned before in the online class, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, so let's just start. The first thing that I want to share to you is about K-pop. This is according to the article that titled "How K-pop Became a Global Phenomenon." A K-pop itself is a music genre. It stands for Korean pop. It's originated by South Korean culture that become a global trend or global phenomenon nowadays. You know, and we know for sure that maybe some of you love to listen to a Korean music or maybe a Korean drama. So that is the one who that is the one which we called K-pop itself. Not only the music, but also the drama as well. And then you know as well too, K-pop is not just for teenager, but it is for all the communities and the societies and the countries around the world. As long as you enjoy it, that's for you. And next, I will tell you a little bit information or about intercultural communication. Intercultural communication, as we know or as we have learned before, intercultural communication is a or skill or form of communication with someone or a group of people that has different culture or comes from other countries. Intercultural communication deals with tolerance, respect, awareness about diversity, and about the culture as well. We know, like, in this world, we do not live alone with someone or group of people that have same culture as we have. There are so many cultures, so many different cultures in this world. You know it as well, right? And that I use K-pop as the example of intercultural communication. As I mentioned before, that K-pop had become a trend nowadays. Uh, Not only the teenager that have listened to K-pop music, but also the older one, or maybe uh, the kids around them, or the children around me. We know for sure that K-pop is become that popular nowadays. And then what we're going to talk in the discussion or in the next session is K-pop as a genre of music can be the one of intercultural communication. Yep, so we are arriving in the second section of this podcast. Communication can be happened in various way. Music is one of them. It's not about music is using a language. We know for sure is using language too, like uh, we doing conversation with other peoples as well. Through the music, we can feel connected with other culture even we don't understand about the language because we enjoy it. You know for sure that we have listened to many various the genre, and then with many various language of music as well. The one of them is K-pop. um have you ever like feel like slowly you feel that, oh, I feel curious about this music, and then I feel curious about the meaning behind the word, or what is it called in our language, right? We slowly curious about that. We must curious about that, about the meaning of certain words in that music as well. And um, here I will provide some data to be a proof of uh, what the topic of this podcast, or the K-pop as intercultural communication. Um, we can take an example from what uh, being a trend nowadays is Super M. Maybe some of you doesn't know about Super M, and I will give you um, a little bit information about them. So Super M is the one of K-pop group originated by uh, SM Entertainment, and then it is they labeled, or they called themselves as Avengers of K-pop, because in that groups contains of some of members of the other groups like EXO, and then Shiny, and then Vision V or Wavy, and NCT as well. So this K-pop group is the one of K-pop groups that success entering the global market. I have collected some information from Forbes. So according to Forbes, in August 7th, 2019, Capital Music Group, or the global, or the one of global label, announced their partnership and agreement for Supreme, the boy group under the label of SM Entertainment. You know for sure that they, or some of them, speak Korean as well, and that some of them may be the member, or the some member can talk can speak English as well, but they mainly use Korean and then Chinese as well too. So this is what I I mean as intercultural communication, like through the music, the like American fans or American people who enjoy their music can understand. Oh, this is what K-pop is. Oh, we know as well that we, as a listener, maybe at the first, um, we don't understand much about the meaning of what they have speak or what they have sung in the song, but slowly we memorize it unconsciously. We memorize it, and then I memorized this, and I have to know the meaning of it. Maybe some of you feel is feeling that way, right? And then the second example or the second data is BTS, and some K-pop groups song is entering Billboard Global chart. It's not their own country's global chart, but Billboard global chart. We know that Billboard is a famous global chart among like in this world maybe. Yeah, so they as a K-pop groups and with a song that contains Korean language, South Korean language has entering a Billboard cover chart. And then the third example is from the song itself, Love Scenario by Icon, that became so popular among the countries, not only Korean, maybe also in Japan and in China or in Indonesia as well several years ago. So I remember that I saw or I read an article that uh, said this song, Love Center song, is sung by some kindergarten students. Like uh, and they sung it really well. I mean, like the pronunciation maybe it's not right as the original one, but they sing it with the with the right what is we call with the right rhythm of the song, and it is kindergarten student, and it not happen just in Korean, but I remember it happens also in uh, Asian as well. I I don't really remember where is it happen, but some of the kindergarten students, not only them but also maybe elderly generation and then the teenager as well enjoy this love scenario song as well. And we know that maybe at that time they didn't know about the meaning of the song, but they enjoy the song as well. And this is uh, what intercultural communications do. As I mentioned before, that intercultural communication is deals with uh, tolerance, and then deals with awareness, and this deals with respect, and it can be happened not only from the communication or like the verbal communication through the conversation, but also through the music as well. And we are arriving in the uh, last section of this podcast. Uh, the last section is this wrap up or the conclusion of this podcast. So, um, as I mentioned before, that so many there are so many ways to get through the communication itself. Ha- Language itself has so much kind or so much form of it. The one of them is the music. We can easily the music. I mean, I think the music is the easiest way to like get in touch with the other culture, because we just listen to it, we just enjoy to it, and that we slowly maybe we uh, put our respect to that things. So yeah, for the intercultural communication, music can be the one of the form of intercultural communication as well. We can build something like tolerance, a, a tolerance with the other culture towards this kind of music. So last, I say that thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope you guys enjoys it a lot. And then I'm so sorry if I made so many mistakes, because this is my first time doing this kind of thing. But I still hope that you're enjoying it. You grasp the information that I shared to you guys through this podcast. And once again, thank you so much for staying with me. My name is Inka, Sabrina, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.